Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with a brand new speed build, this time doing a much lighter and brighter inspired suburban home. So just recently on my channel I've been doing quite a lot of autumnal and Halloween inspired builds, and it got me thinking that whilst we're in autumn in the northern hemisphere, down in the southern hemisphere it's actually spring now. So I decided this time to do something much lighter and brighter that was very much had a kind of bright spring feel to it. So this is Ridge Hill. It's a 4-bed, 2-bathroom build built on a 30 by 20 lot in Willow Creek, and it comes in at just less than 147,000 simoleons. So as you can see, I've actually moved this house from the other side of Willow Creek over to this smaller lot. And initially when I started this house, I kind of had in mind that I wanted to build a house that was just on one floor, but as the build evolved, it ended up being over 2 floors. So nevertheless, I did want it to be on a 30 by 20 lot because I do a lot of builds on much bigger lots, and it's not very often I really make use of all the 30 by 20 lots we've got. So yeah, I decided to stick with this particular lot and just kind of see what I could come up with. So this wasn't built with any kind of restricted packs, and it wasn't built to a budget, although I must admit when I got to the end of the build I was quite impressed to see that it was actually 147,000 simoleons, which for me is not a bad price for a 4-bed 2-bathroom house, especially when I'm not really paying attention to how many simoleons I'm actually spending. So this house did actually go through a few different looks. I wasn't entirely sure what kind of colour theme I was going to go with, and initially I was going to go for this sort of darker wooden tones, and then I think it changed over to brick, and then it was white at one point, and then I ended up settling on this blue colour. But I did something a little bit different with a roof here, which I've not actually done before in a build, and I was kind of playing around with a roof. At first I wanted to put a glass section into the roof, and then I kind of thought it'd be really nice to put a different style of balcony in. So yeah, I've included it all in so you can see me kind of messing around. I was changing the doors and, you know, like basically how it all looked. So it was actually a result of building this particular section into the house that I then decided to sort of change up the entire shape of the house, because at the moment the build was built to be just one story, and I thought it would be such a shame to kind of have these balconies but that were completely obsolete because there was no way of getting into them. So I decided then to kind of take away the roofing and just add in the second floor, which I'm doing now. So the roofing was quite a challenge in this house because there was a little bit of cutting in, and I had to kind of play around with the roof just to make sure that that didn't happen. I always find it really frustrating. I've mentioned this many times in videos that I really wish there was some sort of fix or solution to stop the roofs from cutting in, because it does stop you from building certain styles of houses sometimes, and it can kind of limit you as to what you can do. On the other hand, if you do have a good play around with the roof, then sometimes you can come up with a fix and a solution. And I do think by sort of playing around with the roof and experimenting, it really kind of gets you used to roofing. Because I know when I first started in The Sims 4, it was such a change from The Sims 3, because Sims 3 had auto roofing, and obviously we don't have it in The Sims 4, so it was a lot harder to kind of get used to it. But I find that the more you play around with the roofing and you try different things out, the more used to it you get and the easier it becomes over time. So with regards to the landscaping, I did go ahead and keep it quite simple. I didn't add in loads and loads of details. I just wanted something that was quite a nice, plain sort of suburban home, just one that you could maybe move in and add your own bits to as well over time. But I did go ahead and add in a few skill building items and activities as always, and I added in some planters towards the back as well as a beekeeping box, and we also had a table and chairs and kind of like a barbecue area, but it was all very sort of plain and simple. But I have to say I really like this particular lot in Willow Creek as well. It's in the very top right hand corner of the map, and Willow Creek is actually one of my favourite worlds. I'd say probably Willow Creek, Brindleton Bay and Windenburg are my absolute favourites, but I do have a soft spot for Willow Creek. I find that it's just very scenic, and I really love how this sort of river runs through Willow Creek, and there's lots of places to go fishing, and it just seems like a really nice, friendly, bright place to live. I also find that when I come to sort of create houses to play in, I always end up starting out in Willow Creek. It's just one of those places that just has everything that I need. I really, really love Brindleton Bay, but I do find that sometimes when you're starting out, everything's just a little bit spread out, and it just doesn't feel as neighbourly as what Willow Creek does, because obviously the houses are situated so much closer together in Willow Creek. I also think it's a bit of a shame though that we can't have pets sort of roaming around in other worlds like we do in Brindleton Bay. I really kind of like that aspect. I like the fact you can go out and, you know, sort of befriend a stray animal and adopt them as your own, and I kind of miss that element in different worlds as well. So I'm currently working on the garden at the moment, and it's not a massive garden, but I decided to kind of section it off and have this little area to the right hand side that had some planters in and the beekeeping box. Later on I end up adding in kind of a bit of a shelter over the planters, because I know when you go into, or as the seasons change, your plants go out of season. So I'm kind of adding in now, after playing my current sort of Let's Play household and realising that these plants go out of season, that it's quite important to put in an area that's a little bit sheltered. So I add in kind of like a shelter over the top later on, and I also put in a little fountain area just to the right of the balcony as well. But I'd actually say the inspiration from this house actually came from Bob and Eliza pancakes, because I was having a read through my comments the other day, and somebody had said, you know, I'd really like it if you sort of renovated some of the EA houses, and so I decided to do Bob and Eliza pancakes house. Now I've not completely finished it. I'm not entirely sure I'm happy with it, but I did start on it the other day just before I started this one, and I noticed that they have a lot of balconies on their house, and then it got me kind of thinking when I came to do this one that it's been a while really since I've sort of added in the kind of balcony aspect. So yeah, I would say they were my inspiration for this house. So in the end I decided to go with this kind of bluish sort of theme for the garden, and I added in, obviously the colour of the house is blue, and I went and added in some planters that had little blue flowers in them, and I'm totally into this colour at the minute. I did say actually in 2 builds ago, I think it was, that every now and then I get stuck into a particular colour that I really like, and I just seem to sort of gravitate towards it. It's not intentional, I assure you, but yeah, I kind of liked the way that it looked. So I'm just moving on to the interior now, and this house has a kitchen, a separate dining room, it has 2 reception rooms and a downstairs toilet, and quite a wide sort of hallway area. But I decided to kind of keep the interior very light and bright. I mean, as I say, by this point I'd already established that I wanted to build something that was much lighter and brighter, something with kind of like a nice spring vibe. So I wanted to kind of make the inside reflect the outside and just be very, very nice and bright and breezy. So I decided to go for this kind of bluish theme again with the kitchen, and this particular wallpaper I've not used in a really long time. I remember when it first came out with Parenthood, and I think the same kind of goes for every expansion pack or new pack that comes out and brings lots of new items. It just got incredibly overused, and I use this one a lot. There's another one as well that's quite similar, and yeah, I went mad using that, but it's been a really long time since I've used it, so it was quite refreshing. So I'm just moving on to the reception room now, and I did go ahead and use a lot of light woods in this house. Like I say, I wanted the interior to be really quite light and bright, so there were lots of wooden tones used, and again with the blue I went ahead and used the blue in this living room as well, with a little bit of brown. In fact, I'm not entirely sure. I think this ended up being a bit blue and yellow by the end. But as you can see on the right hand side, there is a downstairs bathroom there that is just off the living room, and I don't think I included any footage for the bathrooms. I always find the bathrooms are quite plain and straightforward really, but I mean, I do change them up in each build that I do. I always try and go for a different style. I do think there's a lot of selection as well as far as bathrooms go, with different suites and different styles. So I always change them up, and I actually quite enjoy doing the bathrooms. I just don't include them in because I think they're quite basic. So I have to say I'm getting quite excited for the new expansion which is coming out, Get Famous, because we do indeed have a new world and I cannot wait for this new world. I believe there is a kind of, obviously it's about getting famous, and there is a big lot which you can kind of feature a big mansion on. So that's completely up my street. I love building mansions, so I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that. And I kind of feel like after doing so many houses over this summer that I'm ready for some new items. I mean, I don't very often use CC. I love CC, don't get me wrong. A lot of the time I build for the gallery and it makes it a lot easier if I don't use CC, but I'm certainly not against using it. But I just like to kind of build for the gallery. So when an announcement for a new pack is coming out and it's bringing new items, I always get really excited for it. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, what kind of new items come with that pack. Also, I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like as the time's gone by since The Sims 4 was released, with each pack that gets released, the items and the content that comes with the packs just seems to get better and better, and they just seem to be releasing items that you can just use. You know, they become very quickly like go-to items, and so I am really excited. I've kind of got high hopes for this pack, and I have sort of said before that the whole Get Famous thing isn't really, I feel like it's more of a pack that would suit somebody who plays the game a lot, and obviously I don't play the game a lot, but with it comes a new world and new items. So, you know, I think it's a good all-rounder. It's going to please everybody, whether you're someone that actually plays the game or someone that builds. So I'm just finishing off this second reception room now, and I wasn't really sure what to do with this room. I was going to initially make it into kind of like a kids downstairs chill out room, which I've done a lot in the past, but in the end it just ended up being a second reception room with a couple of activities and skill building items and a PC. If you wanted to go ahead and change it up and, you know, completely change it and make it into a different room or add other things in, that's entirely up to you. But yeah, I just kept it as a very sort of simple second room, but I did go ahead and add in this massive TV, so it kind of felt like it was like a proper family room. So we're just moving on to the upstairs now, and there is 4 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and this is actually the master bedroom at the moment. And as you can see, we've got this kind of like pitched roof sort of back wall due to the roofing issue, and obviously the colour of that matches the outside of the house, so I decided to just go with it and do this kind of blue and yellow themed room. I also took a few of the mirrors to kind of create this triangular mirror shape at the back, just above the bed as well, to sort of kind of make the roof look like it was supposed to be like that. But I decided to do a twin girls room. We also had a single boys room as well as a toddler boys room as well. So I'm just working on the twin girls room at the moment, and obviously it's very pink and very blue and girly. But as always, I tried to cater for kind of every different age stage and included plenty of activities and skill building items in each of the rooms as well. So I do think overall this house is actually a really good size, and for 147,000 simoleons, to say I wasn't working to a budget actually wasn't that bad for me. But I hope you're all having a fantastic week and weekend. I can't believe we're back at the weekend already. These weeks seem to be flying by. I've now got all my children off school this next week coming up as well. My youngest 2 have been off for a few days this week already, and yeah, we've just been sort of taking a bit of downtime, relaxing a little bit. We've been out to the park, and yeah, it's just been quite nice and relaxing compared to last week anyway. But I just wanted to say a massive thank you for all your lovely comments on my videos. I've also noticed that quite a few of you are following me now over on Instagram and Twitter, which is really, really nice. I use Twitter quite a lot at the moment, and it's a really good way to kind of connect with people in the Sims community, because quite a lot of us Simmers are over there. So I tend to retweet quite a lot of other builders' builds as well. You know, there's a lot of really good ways to kind of connect with people over there. But I'm just working on the last room now, which is the toddler boys room. But I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give me a big thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, it would be amazing to have you on board. And also, if you're not following me over on Twitter and Instagram and you're interested, then the links are in the description box below. But have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.